Congressman Max Rose. He's a Democrat. Congressman, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I hope you and your family are staying safe.
We are, and I hope the same of you and all of your colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Can you give me a read on where we are? We understand Thomas Massie, this Republican, who may hold things up a bit longer, although we still expect final passage at some point, is on the House floor weighing his options. He's a libertarian who is not happy about some of the spending items in here.
Yeah. So let me take a moment and talk about Thomas Massie, because I don't take his actions or his threats so lightly. Every single day, constituents of mine, residents of my district, Staten Island and South Brooklyn, are dying. We see New York City, New York State, the epicenter of this crisis, and that crisis will move on to other places in America. We have never seen a threat like this. So Thomas Massie, this is disgusting. This is inhumane. You aren't a libertarian. You're un-American. If we push this back 24 hours, there will be blood on Thomas Massie's hands. Anyone else who steps in the way of this, blood on their hands. We've got to get the money out into hospitals' pockets, PPE for our first responders. Action is needed.
Okay, I understand your frustration, and New York City is particularly hard hit, but I think questioning his patriotism, calling him un-American, is something that I'm sure Thomas Massie will have a chance to respond to.
Good.
In the meantime, you're questioning Thomas Massie, and rightly so. Why is he holding this up? Well, I've got a question for you, and it comes from a Democrat. It's Andrew Cuomo. Here he is yesterday on his frustrations with the bill you're passing. Listen.
The congressional action, in my opinion, simply failed to address the governmental need. I spoke to all the officials involved. I spoke to our House delegation. I spoke to our senators. And I believe what they did failed to meet the governmental need. I'm disappointed.
Please answer your own Democratic governor. You're there in Washington. You're helping to negotiate this.
100%.
You've got Chuck Schumer, who's the Democratic leader in the Senate. He was at the table with the Treasury Secretary, and yet your own Democratic governor says you failed. You did not provide enough money for New York.
So, first of all, Andrew Cuomo, who's shown phenomenal leadership throughout this process, taught much of the rest of the country how to lead through this process, I think is correct. New York City, New York State still needs more. That's why after this, we are most certainly going to go back and fight for more money for states and localities. But let's talk about what this does do. In addition to billions of dollars for the state and the city, $4 billion for public transportation, tens of billions of dollars for hospitals, billions of dollars for our hospitals, tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions for our businesses, for hardworking Americans who have been laid off. And it is critical that we get that money out as quickly as possible. You're rightfully focusing on the economy as well. We need for this to be a V-shaped recovery, not a long, slow recovery. In order to do that, you remember back to 2008, we've got to start the recovery process sooner rather than later. Part of that is putting money in people's pockets.
Absolutely. It certainly is an economic crisis, but you raised the alarm bell a moment ago. It's a health crisis first and foremost.
Absolutely.
You've been very hard hit in New York City. I know, as you just said, you're going to be fighting for more money. Your own mayor, Bill de Blasio, yesterday, though, said this is immoral. He thinks there's not enough money. There will be a big fight ahead to get more money for New York City and other cities, let's point out, around the country. Congressman Max Rose, we appreciate you coming
100%.
in.
Thank you for having me on.